The loop. So we said that basically control structures, it's like basic logic, all right, to executing or to getting the result for your program. And we said that loops is like iteration. Okay, I've not discussed loops, so I'm starting off with loops. So loops, another word for loop is iteration. So what iteration means incremental or adding values to increment something, or like a countdown. So that is what I mean, the literal meaning of loops. That's what it means. Now, talking about while statements. While
Sorry to
statement
interrupt.
starts with
Have you started recording?
hold on, by the way. Yes, I started recording. I forgot to add my headphone. Let me add my headphone. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, great. I think I can hear now. Yeah, I started recording. So I was talking about loops. I said loops by literal definition means iterations, and it also means something like countdown, where we have a starting value, a condition, and an ending value, right? So you start from a value, you give it a condition, and then you put an end value to it. All right. So we are starting off with while loop. A part of what we are considering is while loop, do while loop, and the for loop. So we are starting off with the while loop. So I was saying something about the while loop. I said that um, the while loop starts with a condition, and then you execute it, right? You say while so is this. It's just like the way you wrote your if else condition yesterday. So while this is the do this, all right? So start off. Let me open my IDE. Let's just pay close attention to the screen while you can practice on your own. So I'll call this loops. Okay, so normally when you write your while, you say while, you say while loop, while, while condition. Okay, so what is the condition? Maybe you say while your x is greater than your 0. Mind you, you have to also declare and all of that before this. However, this is how you write your while. You say while and then the condition, and then you continue. All right. Why this, do this? Okay, this space does not matter. Okay, so now what is my x? So I can come here and say my in x in x equals to 1. So if my int is equals to 1, what should happen? I should do a while, right? However, I can't do a while without putting a method there, because you cannot just say, oh, why something something. Okay, you need a body, a method body for it. So I will use my main method now. Public static void main. Okay, string open and close it after the while, meaning that I have to remove this. All right, so my while is within. So this is my while loop within the main method, right? So I say while x is greater than 0, what should this condition do? Alright. So what makes the while statement different? So the while statement is almost like a countdown. So you say that you evaluate the condition. So if the condition is false, you skip and then skip the body and go to the next statement. If the condition is true, you execute, right? That is how it works. So now I say why so what should I do? Oh, okay, I should make this static. Okay, now while this condition is this, then let me perform an operation. Let me say just print something. System.out.println print x. Okay, or you can decide to say system.out.println print blast off, whatever this is. So by saying x, you are printing the actual value of x, and by saying blast off, you want to print this exact word to the console, right? Now that is just a simple while. So we say for condition, if the value of x, which is 1, if it is greater than 0, all right, read it as true. All right, so there is no else here, so it exactly just reads this. Let me print this and you see what comes out of this. Okay, so oh, don't crash my system. Okay, so you discover that this just keeps printing. It keeps printing value 1 blast off, 1 blast off, 1 blast off until I stopped. So in loop there is something called break and continue. So I'm supposed to put somebody I think is someone there. Somebody just joined. Is Busola in class now? Hold on, please. Okay. So did somebody? Blast off. So why condition this is this? Okay. So me putting a break, I'm saying that stop after printing to the console, then stop at this point, stop at this line. All right, that is break. But if I use continue, I mean go to the next line, execute the next line. All right, that's what continue does. But when we get fully to other aspect of loops, what did I do just now? Okay, so when we get to other aspect of loop, we'll talk more about that. I think I have a slide for break and continue. All right, so we have the while loop, and of course you can combine the while loops with your if else statement. So should we just let's see an example of that. So you can say while x is greater than 0, all right, print this out, all right, and then put an if. Okay, so if x has this other condition, print it, otherwise print it this other condition. It's just like the way we did nested yesterday. So if, for example, if you are putting your if else within your while, it means that it will first read the if else, it will first, your compiler will first read your if else statement and then go to your while statement to read it. Okay, so let's do something and say the while loop with if else condition. Okay, so while loop with if else condition, what happens? The body of the loop should change the value of one or more variables so that eventually the condition becomes false and the loop terminates. Otherwise, the loop will repeat forever, which is called infinite loop. An endless source of, okay, I'm just reading a textbook here. Let's continue. So I said while let me just comment this out instead. All right, this is good. While x is less than or equals to 0, while x is less than or equals to 0, okay, print what shall I print? Print this. Okay, then I will now say if x modulus 2 is equal 0, okay, then I will say what should we do this time around? So if that is the case, then print x equals x divided by 2. Print that, and else okay, else print, I can just say else x equals to x. You know what I'm doing here? I'm trying to put into use our arithmetic or other operators, our primitive data and operators. Now I have x equals to x plus, what should I put, plus 1. Okay, so actually, I can actually write this. I can actually write this without asking it to print. It will be the same thing. So I can now say, oh, print out x, but it's going to be the same thing. So, but let me just leave it to be inside this statement. All right. So so what will happen now is that the compiler will start reading from your if else condition. If we look at this condition, is x modulus 2 is here exactly equals to 0. What is my value for x again? I have my value for x as 1, right? I have my value for x as 1. So if you say 1 modulus 2, okay, let's give it another value. Let's say this is 5. So if this is 5, if I have 5 modulus 2, it should be exactly 1, right? That is 5 divided by 2 remains 1. Is 2 remains 1, alright? So remainder 1. So, but is 1 exactly equals to 2? No. So because that is not true, it will move to this else statement and try to read the else statement. Now we are saying that else just do this, no condition, else just do this. This is what you should just do. So once it gets to this line, it will now say, okay, my hex is what? 5. 5 times 1, 5. Then it will return this as 5. However, it will then compare and say, okay, x is normally less or equal to 0. Is x less or equal to 0? This is also false. So at the end of the day, what should be the result here? The result here should be what? Should be this, right? This should be what it will print to the console. Now let's execute this and see what we will have. Okay. While am I having to while I didn't comment this out. Okay, there's an error. Okay, stop and rerun. All right. I'm okay. Let me ask it to print since it's on a house. Let me put this inside a print statement. Let's see. Okay. So system.how. What I want to print is the else, but however I'm not getting anything. Okay, so while this condition, if this else, then okay, I know where the issue lies in. I will leave this here and I will come here. Okay. Okay, let me print this first and see what we have. Okay. There's something else. Is everyone here? Can someone tell me what is wrong with this code? All right. I'm listening. Anyone tell me something. Yeah, someone wants to say something. No? One of the x. No, we declared x. X is just x. Whatever other value you now assign to x, it will take the newer value. But then you have already declared and assigned a value to x. Yeah. Okay. Okay. To the matter. Okay, so this is it here. I have the while loop. Yes. Yes. Right. You should print out 5, right? Now that's the value. Now, but which line of the code should print out 5? I think I've discovered the error. Yeah, it should be the last one, but the last one is not placed well. So now look at this and this. This is supposed to be executed within this bracket. This is supposed to be executed within this bracket. All right. This one is supposed to be within this bracket. All right. Now, if I put this statement, this line of code, why is this still not cutting? Cut. If I put this line of code in the main method, what am I having now? This is supposed to be the main method now. Is there perhaps okay? What error am I getting? I should not get any error here. Print line. This was declared in here now. Okay. So what error is this? Is this? Gonna be stop somewhere. Okay. Oh, why? Oh, there is a bracket out of place. Is there? This is so not it. Okay, so the issue is with my bracket. Okay, so let's look at the bracket again. This is the loop bracket, which is like the class name. All right, all of this goes within the class. That's fine. Then this is what the main method, the open and the close, meaning that this line is within the main method. Now this is for my entire while loop. Now this line that gets executed is within the main method. All right, fine. Now if I comment this out, I will have nothing. Why? Because that is the reason I'm trying to look for now. So because I'm printing nothing, because there is nothing to print to the console. Because there's nothing to print to the console, I think that is true though. So because none of the conditions, okay, so I said if x is less than or equals to 0 and our hex is 5, so I say 5 is not less than or equal to 0, it gives false. Then if I say if 5 is so this here should be 1, right? So 5 modulus 2 should be 1. So 1 equals to 0 is also wrong. So this will be false. Then if I come here and say else, I guess it's this last statement that is giving me headache. However, let me just say if this statement is not here and I say print system dot out dot print line blast off, okay, there's nothing this one is actually doing here. So blast off. Okay, so okay, now I get it. All right, I think that is why while is different from our for loop. Okay, so each time through the loop, the program displays the value of whatever value you have and then checks whether it is even or odd. Checks whether this value Usually in programming, when you are trying to check for even or odd numbers, you make use of a modulus sign. Normally, if you are in your mathematics, you know that any number that is even is when it is divided by 2, it gives 0. Am I right? So now, if you want to check that the condition is even, you will have said, okay, that number modulus 2 should be equals to what? 0, right? Now we know that this number x is not even. Why? Because when you divide that number by 2, you get 1, which is not exactly equals to 0. All right, so each time through the loop, the program displays the value of x in this case, and then checks if it is correct or not, if it is even or odd. Now if it is even, the value of n is divided by 2. Okay, if it is odd, the value is replaced by okay, so I think that is it. For you guys to understand it better, let me explain it again. Now it checks for this condition. This condition here is false, then it moves over to this condition. When it got to this condition, it actually did a calculation and said 5 multiplied by 1 is 5, which is also not even. Then it will not display anything. All right, it decided not to display anything. Why? Because the value we are getting is exactly the value that was declared initially here, which is 5. All right, which is not even an even number. Okay, so if that is the case, why don't we now change the value of 5 here? Let's assume that 5 is 6. I mean x is 6. Okay, now if x is 6 and you say x is less than or equals to 0, which is not true, if if 6 modulus of 2, that is 6 divided by 2 is 3, right? And the remainder is 0, which is exactly equals to 0, meaning that if that condition is true, then it should work on this line this time around. Else, then we can say 6 multiplied by 1 equals to. So I think you understand why this line did not work. Does anybody get why this line is not working? Is not printing to the console. Do you understand why it's... Hello? Yes, because of the condition we have given it here. Usually when you are testing for even number, these are the kind of conditions you give it. You say that number modulus of 2. Yes, it should be this line. It should be this statement that it will work on. Let's see if my explanation works. Okay, so my explanation is not working out here right now. So we said what if I make this just x? Okay, there you go. There you go. All right. Okay. No. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And what does it remain? 0. So, yes. So, that is why it should be 0 and then it should be this. That is exactly. But because it is the reason we are having this issue is because we have put this condition inside a while loop. And usually while loop is always tending towards positive, it has to be, your condition, your value has to be exactly of this. If it is not exactly like this, it will not print anything. Now, the reason while is like this is because, look at this here, it has to be true. This condition for while has to be true. Now, we said our x is 0, but in actual fact, is x less than or equal to 0 when it comes here? You know, if when you execute this line, for example, this should be 6 modulus 2 equals to 0. And if you say your x is 0 here, does that mean that, if you say the value here is 0, does that mean that 0 is less or equals to 0? Is that statement true? That 0 is less or equals to 0? Zero is less or equals to 0? Okay, 0 is equals to 0, but it's not less than 0. Okay, so one of it is true, the other is not. Okay, now I think we are going somewhere. Now, for this else, for example, for this x, we said our x is what? 6. And 6, what if I change this to, just being curious. So I said my x is 6, and 6 plus 1 should be 7. So meaning that x is carrying value of 7 here. And if x is carrying value of 7, when it gets to this part, we now say 7 is less than or equals to 0, which is also not true. Okay, that takes me back to the former one that was here. We said it was multiplication that was here. So 6 multiplied by 1 is 6. Now, 6 less than or equals to 0 is not true. Wow. So at the end of the day, for you to print something to the console, you have to come outside of the loop, go to your main method, and print this. I guess that was why we did not get anything on our console, because it will read through everything and eventually still come back to your to your first condition to compare whatever you have executed here with it. If it not exactly match it, then it will now go back to your main method. Sorry, where did I exit? Okay, so now go back to your main method and execute your main method. Okay, let's look for a simpler example. I'm looking at something here so that we don't get confused. A much more easier to understand example. All right, I have a math. I keep giving math example. Okay, why not give? But it is math example I can give, because the material I have is a computer science book. Okay, I will give another example here and say, let me comment this out. I'll comment this out. Okay, that's it. So this time around, I say int I will use exactly this the one here. Int I equals to 1, and then while I is less than 0, less than 10, while I is less than 10. Okay, so while I is less than 10, that's an interesting example. Double x equals to y. Double x equals to y, then print out print out x concatenated with string plus that's concatenate again with, now I think I have to import a mat.log. Okay, log x. Can anybody remember log x? Is anybody of science background in this class? Logarithms. Okay, log 2. Okay, let's just say this is let's just say this is logarithm x, which is more like natural logarithm to the base of, what base is this one? I think it's base 2, whatever base it is. Let's continue. The most important thing is this iteration here. Now we said I equals to 1 and 1 is less than 10. Is 1 less than 10? That is true. Now you declare and say x I, this is I, we said I equal, but I equals to 1. All right, so since I equals to 1, we have 1 less than 10. So 1 is less than 10. That is true. Let me just put a comment here and say okay, true. Now if this is true, then I now say that same value of sorry, okay, so I now say that same value of I, which is 1, is equal to another variable x. All right, is equal to another variable which is expected to be of a double value, that is of decimal. Right, now we now say okay, print out x, which is supposed to be 1, then print out let me just put something here. Okay, and then say mat dot what is x again? 1. That is 1 divided by 2. Interesting. Okay, that's log of x divided by log of 2. All right, so after that, in my example here, there is still another condition saying I equals to I plus 1. So after I print this out, we are saying that the new value we are giving to I is what? Value 1 plus 1, which is 2. Interesting. Okay, let's execute this. Is my answer the same as, okay, it's the same as what I'm saying here. Now 1 is 0, 1 that is x. So we said that loop is iteration, right? That is, you start from a value, you have a condition, and then it executes, and it's supposed to end on another condition, right? Normally that is how loop works. Now for this particular case, we said I starts from 1. So if it starts from 1 and then 1 is less than 10, right, we are saying that that 1 should perform this particular operation, which is what? Which is 1 divided by log of 2, which is 0.0. Now I should move from what? From 1, and then move to 2, and then move to 3 until it gets to a value lesser than 10. That is the interpretation of the first 2 lines. We are saying that we should start iterating from 1. However, it must not stop. We must not stop until we get to a value that is what? Lesser than 10. That is what you see there. Now, we said I equals to 1. It starts from 1 and then execute this. Goes to the next value, which is what? Plus 1. Execute it. Execute this. And then goes to the next one. Alright, in case you don't understand, what this means here is that the new value for I is equal to, alright, the new value for I is equals to what? 1 plus 2, plus 1, which is equals to 2. And then the next time it gets to I, it becomes what? 2 plus 1 equals to 3. Alright, and then the next one becomes 3 plus 1 equals to 4 until it gets to a value that is less than 10, which is 9. So if you are wondering how we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is how we got it. Starting from the value of 1, we come here and say, okay, start from value of 1, execute this, but don't stop there. Start to increment it. So when you start to increment it, in the next line you will perform, you say what? 1 plus 1, and then it becomes 2. 2 is what? 1. That is this operation. And then move to the next line, do the same thing until you get to this condition, which is what? I less than 10. Actually, I think this is the perfect example for a while loop, right? Usually loops generally always have a starting condition, a starting value, a condition, and an ending value. The ending value here is this formula. All right. Okay, now, so let's so what this line, actually this is the condition, sorry, this is your increment. Okay, so it starts from this, okay, it gives a condition and it says increment by what value. Okay, so when this condition is given, we already know that it will start from 1 and it will end at 9. Why? Because of this condition that is here. I is less than 10, so we know that this value has to start from 1 and end at 9. Now the increment is saying that in between from 1 to 9, what should it do, right? Increment the starting value by 1. Actually, this can also be 2 or whatever value you give it. So if you give this 2, what will it be? It will now be like this plus 2 equals to 3, right? Then you come here and say your 3 plus 2 equals to 5, right? That is it. And then your 2 here is constant, then this will be 5, then this will now be 5 plus 2 equals to 7. All right, so that is how this condition works here. We have the loop condition, the while loop. Now what is this while loop generally? Just so we have a brief my other system. I'm using my other system for a material here. Because I want to move on to do while. Okay, so what is this while loop generally? We say a while loop is a control flow statement in programming that allows you to repeatedly execute a block of code as long as a specified condition is evaluated as true. I said it the other time. As long as this condition is true, it will always check for this condition if it is true. Now we said a while loop is a control flow statement in programming that allows you to repeatedly execute a block of code as long as a specified condition evaluated is true. Now the loop continues to execute as long as the condition remains true, and it terminates when the condition becomes false. Alright, it terminates when it becomes false, but as long as the condition is saying that I check the condition, is this condition true? If it is true, then you start to iterate. Alright, now let's move over to do while loop. Oh yeah, I recall that you asked me yesterday, so I did a little research into yeah, actually, there are lots of examples, quite a lot of them that we don't even know that. Okay, so I think an example is an ATM machine where you yeah, state transition is there, but what's the name? What is that example you gave me the other day? I think no, decision table, this one about if this condition is true, true false, that is this password, invalid username, invalid password, valid username, valid password, blah blah blah. Yes, is also an example that we can use. Then I think there is one common one I saw. Yeah, when you play your music and you ask it to repeat, you put it on loop. So you put your favorite song on a repeat mode, so it's kind of loop. When it plays it the first time and it ends on a particular value, it starts from a particular value in a timing sequence, and then it ends somewhere, then it will start again and then end, and then it will start again. So it's a kind of loop. So far the condition remains true, that is those values are there. So far those values are there, it will keep looping through. It says you want to run a there's another one, say software program in a mobile device allow user to unlock the mobile with 5 password. Okay, yeah, password attempts. After maybe 5 attempts, it locks you out. So the first time you do it, it say try again. Second time you do it, it gives you a second trial, you know. Okay, voice note, how does voice note work again? Like it moves to the second one. Okay. Yeah, you are very right. You are very right. Okay, so far you have initiated the first action. It will keep looping through till it gets to your end condition. Okay, so that's good. But in I think when it gets to the practical aspect of it, we'll now start looking at, oh, should I use a for loop for this? Oh, should I use a while loop for this? Oh, should I use a do while loop? I think that is where the real work comes into play. Yeah. Control structures. Yeah, your control logic, yes. Okay. No, it's I think you have to use the simplest approach to it. Of course, you have to make use of a very good coding, what would I call it? Structure, optimized coding. Yeah. But of course, when you're just starting up, it's possible your codes are not optimized. But as time goes on, you start looking at how to optimize your code. So most of the loops I've used have been for loop. Have rarely used while loop for testing. I've always used if else and for loop, right? Most of the time, because there is rarely anything while loop can do that for loop cannot do. It's just that while loop just considers your condition true first before trying to iterate through it, right? But as for loop, when we get there, it has a starting condition. Once you just see its condition, its own is to just iterate, you know just iterate through. um yeah, I think that is basically the decision will now be put on you to, oh, should I use for loop, oh, should I use if condition, should I use while loop, and all of that. You start making decisions on which one to use. But it is not in all cases that some will warrant you using if, some will warrant you using um for loop, I mean loops. Some will warrant you using if conditions. So in loops, you can decide, oh, it is for I want to use, it is while loop I want to use do while, you know and all of that, or switch or whatever. Okay, so that is it. But depending on what you are testing, like I said, it's always good to make use of the best approach, not a complicated one. The one that anyone reading the code can easily like pick up and understand. It's always good to do that, because even you, as you are doing it, you need to be able to go back to it and understand what you've implemented there. Yeah, that is it. I think we should move on because of time. We are moving towards, we have spent almost an hour. So I said, now in my PowerPoint here, I said loops, we have the while loop, and I said y n is greater than 0, do this condition. Oh, blast off. Okay, I showed us this example. Now I said there is a way you also combine with the if else, and I think I mentioned that. But the issue we had the other time was because the first condition that the while gave us was not true. So at the end of the day, we were just struggling. If you recall, the while condition that we first did here, it was not true. S less than or equals to 0. No, S is actually not less than. The first value we chose was 5, second value we chose was 6, and then you're saying 5 less than or equals to 0. No, it is not true. So, and that was why everything we did here eventually resulted into nothing. Nothing was being displayed until the code now went back to the main method to read the statement that was there, which is like this one that we put in our main method, and then it displayed it, right? So that was what happened there. And then we actually now talked about when while loop has the starting condition, when it has the starting condition, and then the what's the name, the condition statement, right? So now going to do while loop, do while is saying that do this while this is this, while it is this condition, execute this block of code. While it is this condition, execute this block of code. Now, okay, so in the example I gave here, I think I added a scanner. So let's see what happens if you if you are doing something interactive, asking the user to enter a number. Before I go there, I was trying to explain break and continue the other time. I said break exit the loop, continue will read to the next line, to the next iteration. You say continue and move on to the next iteration. But when you use break, it exits the loop. But when you use continue, it moves to the next iteration. So let's do the do while loop with this example. So we have I'll comment this one out. Comment this one out and say do while. So now you remember our scanner objects. It has to do with java.util. So I have to import it here. So IDE is telling me that I have not imported this thing. So now I will come here and import it. There is a shortcut which is what you're looking at, option enter, I guess. Option enter. I want to make use of the option. However, you can go straight to your after the package body to import your scanner objects. Let me do that. I don't know, my keyboard is seizing up here. Import import what again? What family of it is that? Okay, family of util. So I have java.util .scanner. Okay, so once you import it like that, then you have to instantiate it and say scanner. I don't like using in, so I'll use my small letter scanner. So I said scanner object equals to new scanner, and by default we have a word system.in asking the user or allowing the user to interact with the console. Then this boolean is what what's the name now, data type. If you recall, when we talked about data type, a boolean returns true or false. Okay, so we have boolean just like an integer or your double or your string, name it. So we have boolean. Okay, so what is okay? We say do. What are we doing? System.out.println enter a number. So we are saying enter, user should enter a number. However, this is not complete. Okay, I can see it here now. Okay. Okay, remember I changed into scanner. So this is my object, my scanner object. I have it. No. That is not it. Okay, let me just change it. So I have this scanner. Okay, so let's start over again. So I want the user to be able to interact with the console by entering a number. So once the user enter that number, I will now check, does the number fulfills the condition that I've already put here. So I say print out enter a number. That's the first thing. So if the user enters a number that has double, that is a decimal number, next double, say okay, true. Else, if it is a different kind of number, say what, false, return false, and then move on to the next line and say what, print this is not a number. All right, so we are saying string word. You can call it anything here actually. So you are declaring a string and saying this word or whatever user enters is not a number. Let's see how that works before I will give another example of a do well. So this one says enter a number. Let me enter 12. What is it returning? Nothing. Enter a number. Okay, I thought it was supposed to return true, return false, or rather return false. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So while okay, if don't break my system. Okay, don't break my system. Enter a number, enter a number, enter a number. So while this is true, return enter a number. Else, if it is false, return this is not a number. Okay, let me comment this out first and see. Okay, so how does generally how does a let me go to my do while loop. How does a do while loop work generally? Somebody is saying something. Okay, I'll correct it. Okay. Okay. So how it is important to understand how the block of a do while works. So we said the code block inside the do section is executed. After executing the code block, the condition in the while section is executed. So what it does is it will execute this do line first. And what is the first condition in this do line? Enter a number. Now if you ask the user to enter a number, then it will check if the number has double. If it is maybe 12.0 or something, then it should return true. You should say, oh, true. But however, if the number you return is, if the number you entered is not a decimal, right, if it's not double, it should return a false. And then so it will then continue. If so, just like we said the other time, that while is always looking for a condition that is true. Now if our while, which is here, our while is said while okay, that is while our condition is boolean, while our condition remains boolean. So while this condition is true, start executing from here. While this condition is true, start executing. Of course, it is different from while loop. Alright, so the while will check your condition first and start with the value you assigned for it to start with, if you have actually asked it to start with a value. Otherwise, it will just make use of that condition alone, check if it is true, and then execute other line of code. However, here, alright, it will execute your do condition because it is, it combines itself with two. Of course, it has to be true also. So while this is true, it will start from your do. Okay, so it will check for if this condition is true, it executes. But if it is false, it moves over to the next one and check if it is true. If it is also false, move over to the next one. If everything is false, then it will not return anything like the other example. Now, on a real note, now looking at this generally, right? Looking at this generally, are we saying that the fact that this thing is even saying okay? Let me use something else. Boolean. I can't use the same true. True is a keyword. Boolean, my input. Like what is okay? Okay. Now, so if my input is true, if it is a boolean, then I will say that enter. Okay, so let's run this again. Enter a number. Now we are saying that if my input, if whatever I input here, if it is true, let me say I input 4.00. What is that? What is it printing? Enter a number. It's printing this, right? So let's change that statement to something else. Say the first thing should be enter a number, right? Okay. Normally, if it is true, you should say true. You should say true, right? It should just return true. Please let me look into this. What is wrong here? Scanner equals to new this. Why am I looping? I don't have an end condition. I don't have, okay, I have a starting condition. I don't have, okay, I think I may know what is wrong with this. Okay. Okay, so someone wants to say something. Oh yeah, tell me now, what is wrong with what I'm doing here? What do you think? Why do I have everything displayed on my console? Why is it looping that long like that? Why? I think I mentioned it earlier. Oh, that is wonderful. Okay, now let's do that. Let's put here okay. Okay, what is it? Okay, you are doing something else. Let's put it again. Who gave me the answer? Is that Ope Adoni? Abi sorry. Aridono. Okay. So as the main method, because we have only one method here, which is our main method. So this is our main method here. Can you see? And so we are saying the break is supposed to stop the loop, right? Okay, let's see. Okay, now we have that. Okay, I think this is better. So we have our main method, which is so our class design main method. So our break, saying after executing this, break and don't move on to the next iteration. But there's something I'm looking for here in my other textbook. I'm coming, give me 2 seconds. What example is this? I think I got this example from somewhere. Okay. Okay, so I know where the issue is coming from. Apart from the break, who else know what the issue is? Just look through. Is there something that is missing? Okay. I don't think it's the break though. Right? No, it's not in the mirror, it's here. Break. There you have your break. It's not your break though. So we said while this condition so in looping you're supposed to start with a value and then have a condition and then have an ending condition, otherwise it will keep iterating and not give you. So the example of when we executed this the other time, we discovered that it was looping all through, if you recall. And so when I said run this, break outside switch or loop, break outside switch or loop, that was what I did earlier. Okay, so okay, I was explaining something. Outside of the switch, illegal start of type, line 69.6, start of type. What does that mean? Unexpected. Okay. Okay. So why don't this is not what the issue is. Let me just continue what I was trying to say. Okay, so when I ran this code the other time, and I got to this line of enter a number, line 52, then I entered, let me just enter any number. Then I entered this. So it was supposed to say enter a number and just stop there without going through all of this. So when it say enter a number, I entered 12, then it's supposed to do what? To say, oh, true, right? or go to the next line, execute whatever I've put there, but and then stop right there, right? That's what it's supposed to do. So but for the fact that it keeps running means that it's still looking for a condition to make it to stop. So if that condition is not there, it will keep looping and keep looping till it crashes the operating system. All right, so that is what I discovered, and that is why I will say, while this is this, then do something. So I will say, what did I use here? I used double, Abby. Okay, we say it should be double. So I will say, double x equals to scanner object dot the next line and end it there. What is that? Change variable to boolean. Okay, because it is boolean. Okay, it's not okay. Fine. So I will say double x input. I said double, I keep saying double. Boolean x input equals to the next, whatever you put there. Let me read the next line and stop right there. So I will run it again. This condition is it true? Is my input, if my input is true, okay, anyway, let me run it. Let's see what we have here. Let me run it, enter a number and say 3, enter a number, so still have the same issue. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, I think I get it. Now. Let's run this. Enter a number. Still enter a number. Do this if my input is true. What is this? Okay. Okay, so this condition is not true. Boolean, my input is false. Boolean, my input is true. Whatever the case is, I need. Sorry, hold on. Interesting. Okay. So not a number, that is, it is returning something outside of the if statement, but also within the do. So meaning that I can decide to make this true, and then this is boolean, my input is true. Then if my input is true, then it should consider this. Let me try that again. He gave not a number and still went ahead to no, I think I may know my condition is not set right. Alright. What's this thing typing? So if this condition, okay, so if my, so let's start all over again. All right, so we said that we have my input, the first input. If the first input that I put in there, if while this my input, while it is false, all right, then it should execute the first statement and saying enter a number. That is fine. Then after saying enter a number, it should check that particular input that I enter and say if the input I enter is a double number. I mean, if it's not just an integer, if it is a double, if it is maybe 12.2.22 or whatever, then it should return true. Else, okay, I've removed this else. So if else is there, you say okay, else return false. Now this one is saying that, I think this one is also of the same condition. So enter a number and not a number is within the same do block. Yes, it's within the same do block. So I can easily comment this out since I have said enter a number. So I don't need this because it's no longer within the else statement. I've commented out the else. So it's no longer within the else statement. Now what I have here is what? A do, a if condition, and then my while condition. So I say okay, let's start again. So that we can understand. So our boolean input, that is whatever you input saying it is false or true, has to be a double. Now, so the first thing is you ask the user to enter a number. So if you ask the user to enter a number, the number has to be a double, and if it is a double, you return true. But if it is not a double, what should happen? So if it is not a double, it should just stop right there, this enter a number. All right, because that's what you put here. While it is a double, all right, user should enter the double number. I can also say system.out.println number is false. Okay, number is false, not double. That is, number is exactly my input. All right, let me execute this and see if enter a number. So I will say 3. Okay. Enter a number. Enter a number 3.2. Okay, still enter a number. Okay. Stop before don't break my. Okay. Checking the time. Oh, time is fast, wait. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's start all over again. I will create a new Java class. Call it two-while loop. We need to touch on for loop today. Do we do that? Okay, so let me just continue. Write my main method. Okay. So what should be the next thing? Your scanner. Scanner. Okay. Okay, so I say boolean, okay. That was what we declared earlier. We said boolean, okay. I would say do something. What should it do? Okay. Enter a number. Enter a number. Okay. So if okay. Do this if what condition again? We said if your input no break. Thought I copied this thing. If your input is a double, then print true. That is okay, it's true. else? What is this error I'm seeing here? Okay. Else, let me continue. Else, okay. Okay, it's false. So if okay is false, what was that? String word. This was the original code that I copied earlier. String word equals this done next. Okay. System dot error dot print line. So print this line and say word concatenated with is not number. Is not number. Okay. What concatenated with is not number. Then while okay, while not okay, actually while not okay, do something. While not okay, so double x equals okay. Oh, okay. Double x in a hurry. Okay, by the way, nope. I'm not talking about Boolean. This, let me just leave it for now. It should be Boolean though. So why is this thing? Okay, so I think that's basically it. We are what is giving me error here? Changing this to to not okay. Why not okay? Okay. That's not true. Okay. Let's see what error I get first. So it's 25. Oh shit. Oh god, that is so not it. Now I see where the errors have been facing has been coming from. Okay. So else this should work hopefully. What error is this one facing? Line 28. Aha. Okay, so let me even look at it very well. Okay, something is wrong. There should be an if line there. Okay. Okay. So I have while this is okay. And then I have this. And then I have while okay. While okay. Do y class. Okay, so while okay, if there is a condition of if okay, there's a condition of if and then there's an else statement, yeah. All right, so I want to look at it. Okay, so if okay, what should I do after if okay? Okay, I've cut it out. Oh god. Then I have Linux custom scanner dot next door next boolean whatever indicates next boolean and print. Okay. So what else? I have lesser errors now. Well, no error. There's nothing. Okay. Now, so this is a do while with if else conditions. Okay, now we have enter a number. Normally, let's just analyze it before we execute it. We have the scanner object that allows the user to input anything to the console. So we ask the user to enter a number, and then we check if the number is according to this condition. We said this while it always executing to true. It has to be true. The condition has to be true for it to execute. Now we said if it is not okay, that is a condition. That is what is okay in itself, boolean. So if whatever the user enters is not true, if it is not true, then it should return. What should you return? If it is not true, then it should return your number is valid. Else, okay, else if it is false, okay, then your number is invalid, right? So that is how this condition goes. Let me see. Let me just execute it first and see if. Okay, I said the same thing twice. So I said write a number comes first. Enter a number comes first. Allow user to input a number to the scanner. Yeah, if boolean is okay, that is, yes, that is if it is a boolean, that is if it is true. Now, but the condition is saying that it has to be false. Look at it here, not okay. So while not okay, if okay, while not okay, that is while not true, while it is false, then if it is true, say it is valid. Else, if it is false, say it is invalid. So that is the condition. All right, then break it off. I shouldn't have combined if else into this thing first. I should have just gave us an example of a do while before combining it with an if else. I guess we will do that before we round up this class. So I have enter a number. Wow, 29. Okay, what's this thing? Yeah, we did though. Which of the Java which is scanner? We imported scanner. Okay. Next boolean might be a little bit complicated. Okay, let me make it double x. If it is double x, I can say next double. Next double means in the next line, make it a double character. Let it be a double in the next line the user inputs. Okay. So we say double y is equals to the scanner to next double. Let me even see if it will execute at all. See if there is another error there. Your number is valid 12. Interesting. Okay. Let's execute it again. What if I decide to enter the number is valid because it is 12, or if it is 12.00, the number is valid. If it is okay, if it is false, I really need it to return this part. Okay. Enter a number 12, and that will mean the code is correct. Otherwise, it is so wrong. The code is so wrong. Number is valid. Are you sure it is valid? Am I sure it is valid? Okay. So what if I say if not okay? If not okay, your number is invalid. If it is not okay, my number is invalid. Alright. Okay, great. So execute, do this, enter a number while when this condition is not okay, that is when this condition is not double, then it should say my number is invalid. Okay, let me do another one. Let me say when it is double, it is still saying my number is invalid. Okay, we'll come back to the combination of if-else. Someone should remind me later on, because I really need us to do the do while on its own. Do while without the if condition with it. Alright, let's quickly look into that. So something in my code is not just right. Of course it is executing. I mean, there's no error there, but the conditions are not right. So if your conditions are not right, you will still not get the proper result. Okay, looking for a very good example for a do while. All the examples here are while. Okay, while this, while that. Why? Okay, I have only one example here. Give me a minute. Let me really search. Okay, so I have a very simple example here. I will try to close this out. Okay, and just while I comment the entire thing out. Okay, comment the entire thing out. Okay, I don't need this stuff for now. Okay, so I don't need that. So I want to do a very simple example. Int I equals 1. In real life, when testing, you might not really need this. Actually, you will not need it. But just in case, you can never tell. So we are saying that start from a value of 1, iterate through and say execute this, that is system.out.println. What am I executing? Execute I. Okay, execute I. Increment it, that is add 1. Whenever you see I plus plus, alright, let me even explain it now. Whenever you see I plus plus or I minus minus, alright, or I there's another one, or I equals minus, no, minus equal, okay, minus equal, or plus equal, I plus equal. So whenever you see something like I plus plus, it means that increment the value that's already in the memory by 1. Increment it by 1. That is, the first one means that that is I plus 1. Alright, that is what it means. Then this other one means it means I minus 1. Okay, that's what it means. You said? No, it's not because the value of I is 1. Generally, anywhere you see increment or decrement, it means increase the value set in the memory by 1 or reduce it by 1. Yes, then this I minus equal is saying that from the memory, the value you have for I now is minus. Okay, so I have I is almost the same thing though. It is just where it is applicable. I minus 1, I minus 1. So this is equal to, so you're saying that the result you get from saying minus equal is what? I minus 1 or is I minus 1 or 1 minus I? I confirm. Okay. 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 Okay, so I didn't put it well. You say I think I put it well. I actually put it well. So what it means is your I minus not 1 now, but minus a variable, right? And this one we say, this last one we say I plus variable. Okay, so Madam Temitope, your audio is on. Okay. So we're just explaining some of the things you will see while you are performing loops. See I plus plus, I minus minus minus, I maybe in JavaScript. Oh, we're not in JavaScript. Okay, so these are some of the things you will see. Now, I was trying to give us an example, a simple example, and I guess I had to put this here. Okay, so I say initialize, say your I equals to 1, start from a value equals to 1, I mean your starting point, make it equal to 1, and then print the first value out, increment it by 1, print the second value out. Then in case you can also add a condition. So what condition should I put here? I can say okay, the condition will be while I is less than or equal to 5. So if this is the condition, so while I is less than or equal to 5, while I is less than or equal to 5, okay, while I is less than or equal to 5, that is the condition. So what should we do? Looking at it without using your executor, I mean your compiler or whatever, what should be the result normally? Your high is starting from 1, so you print 1, increment 1 by 1. Okay, so add 1 to 1, so it becomes 2. Is 2, I mean, if the first condition, you check the first condition, is 1 less or equals to 5? If 1 is less or equal to 5, it prints 1 as the first. Then it checks the second condition. 2, we have 2 as the second condition. Let me just comment it and be putting the values here. So the first value should be 1 because I is 1. The second value should be 1 plus 1. Okay, the third value should be 2 plus 1, and then 3 plus 1, and then 4 plus 1. Remember that it has to stop on 5. So when it checks for the initial first value, which is 1, then from that one it adds up the second value, which is like this is the first value in memory, 1. Then it brings the same one to this place and say 1 plus 1, which is 2. Then it brings 2 from here and put it here and say, okay, 2 plus 1. So what it is doing here is it is looping its output to the next one. So the input for the next one is the output of the other one. Okay, so we have the 2 plus 1, and then it takes your 3 and adds 1 to it. Then it takes your 4 and adds 1 to it until it gets to 5, where it checks and say, okay, this has to stop on what? 5. Okay, so is I less than 5? Yes. Is it equal to 5? Yes. Okay, so do we have numbers that are less than 5 here? Yes. Then does it stop on 5? Yes. So it checks for those two conditions and then it prints it out. So normally now we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So so here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is how the do while loop works. But of course, if you combine it with the if conditions, you know that you will not only check for your do while condition, you will also check the if else condition that is within it. So you will first read the if else, like the one we were doing the other time that we got stuck. Okay, so what we were doing was we were trying to check the conditions here. So you will read the if condition before you do, and then you read this condition before you check your while condition, right? So So we are saying the condition here is that what is our condition here again? We said while it is not okay. Okay, we said while it is not okay, you should read this condition, right? Pick out the one that is true, all right, and display it. So we did something. We said while it is not okay, however, the user entered the user is supposed to enter a number that is double, of course, and return that and check if that number is okay, that is if it is true. And if it is not true, it should say it is false. All right, so the first one is if it is not true, and the second one is if it is true. So if it is true, we say, oh, it is invalid. If it is not true, we say, oh, it is valid, right? So however, I will work on that example again, and then we can say that we are closed out for the do while loop. Meanwhile, we need to brush up on the for loop, because I don't want to carry over this constructor per se. I don't really want to carry it over to next week, because next week is supposed to be for OOP, and OOP is not that simple. It's quite broad. Okay, so back to my PowerPoint now. It's past 7 now. Okay, so back to my PowerPoint. Back to my PowerPoint now. Talking about loops, talking about for loop. We have the only difference now that you are used to increment, condition, and all of that. By the time you are working with for loop, it becomes so easy. Actually, I enjoy using for loop much more than why do loops and all of that, because it is straightforward, right? Now, this is how it works. You have a starting value, which is called initialization. Don't know if you can see my screen very well like this. You have a starting value called the initialization. You have a condition, and you have the expression. You've been seeing the expression. So we have the first one saying maybe I, or whatever you want to call it, is equal to 0, and then you give it a condition and say if I is greater than or less than 5. All right, I is greater than or less than 5. Then you can now say, oh, increment I plus plus, all right, or whatever. So that is how the for loop, that is how it works. We will consider one example, actually 2. Let's do 2 examples as we close out, because now you are used to loops, and it's going to be easier moving forward to understand. Okay, I want a very good example, easy to understand, so we can move forward. Okay, I can't see. I should have a for example here in this book. Do I? Okay, yes, I have a for example here. So let's see this. Okay, so I have the for loop. So I have the for loop here. Okay, you have your main method, all right, and then you have the for condition here, for statement. So your for statement, now look at it very well. So we have int I equals to 1, and I is less than or equals to 10. So you don't need to start declaring and assigning value outside of this for. Why? Because you've already put it in here, alright, and assigned a value to it. Alright, so you can do it that way, and you can also do it this way, like declare it outside of it and then say I equals to 0 without, without saying int whatever, because why? We already declared it as let me just explain what I'm trying to say. I equals to 1. So by saying I equals to 1, so I can decide to say I equals to 1 or whatever. I can never say I equals to 0 because I want to change the value of I by the time it's entered the for loop. Whichever way, the system now recognize I as an integer. Right? Now, let me go back to how it was earlier. Okay, so I is an integer here. I is supposed to start from number 1 and it's supposed to continue until it gets to 10. Alright, so how will it be represented? You increment each of it by 1, and when you print it out, it should be in this format. The result is, then you say 1 comma, then the result is 1, then you have 1 plus 1 2, then we have 1 2 3 up to what? Up to 10. That is what you should have. You should have I starting from 1 comma 1 plus 1 comma 2 plus 1 comma 3 plus 1 up to what? Up to 9 plus 1. So you will have it as the result is this. All right, so let's no, I need to execute this one, not the former one. Okay, so the result is okay. So this is plus I, not 1. This is plus I. So I is saying that the actual value of this, all right, this is what it is printing. So it means so your I equals to 1. You know that's your starting value. So the next one we now say pick 1 from the memory. I say 1 increment by what? By 1. So it will now be 2. Yes, then it will now pick 2, add 1 to it, pick the next one, add 1 to it, and then the next one, add 1 to it. So that is how it loops through until it gets to value 10, because you say I should be less than or equal to 10. So what it is printing out is this I value that we just computed, which is what? 1 2 3 4 5 up to 10. That is just a simple for loop. However, if you are now combining your simple for loop with your if condition, right? We are always trying to combine with if condition because usually in real life you get to combine it most of the time. Okay, let's see if I can get an example. Yes. Yes, we used do while for it, right? Yes, we have it. This is here. So you see this last one we did, we gave it a condition of less than or equals to 5, but if we had used 10 we will have gotten the same thing. Look at it. How many lines did we use? Sef 1 2 3 4 5, but if you come to 4 you discover that you used like just 2 lines. So most of the time 4 kind of simplify the whole thing for you. See, So I changed the condition to less than or equals to 10, and I have 1 to 10 here. However, when I came here for my for loop, I just used 2 lines and got the same thing. Yes, got the same result. So most of the time in real life, you get to use for most of the time, much more than while or do while. I'm trying to see if I can get an example where in for loop where I can combine it with the if else. Okay, I've seen one. Yes, I have seen one. So I'll comment this out and do something. So I have for I for want us to finish this. For I modulus of 2, we are back to modulus. Okay, for I modulus of 2, no, not the if, not this. For int I equals 1. Let's give it another. Should we start from 0? 0, no, we'll change it later. So let's just do 1. I less than or equals 10. Then I this. So we say for this, if then if what? If I modulus of 2. Remember, when you start using a number modulus of, it means that you are trying to check for even or odd number. Okay, so if I modulus of 2, that is saying if the number divided by 2 remains 0, and that 0 is equal to 0, then print this. Print that number and say that it is even. Print that number and say it is what? Even. Else after else. Okay, else. Say that so else say that I is odd. Okay, so you want to check if you can print all the even and odd numbers from 1 to 10. Look at it. That is what it means. That's what this line means. Print even numbers from 1 to 10. Why? Because you are starting from 1 and you are saying less than or equal to 10, meaning that from 1 to 10, all right, increment by 1. That is, go to the next line, okay, and then the next one, and then the next one. So the first one is what? 1. So let me explain it with comments here. So if the first one is 1, you say 1 modulus of 2. 1 modulus of 2 is what? 0. Alright. So then I will say increment 1 by increment this first one, which is I, that is 1 by 1. What is that? 2. Then because it is 2, I will now say 2 modulus of 2 is what? Is 2 divided by 2 is 1. Remainder what? What does it remain? 0. So I will say 2 plus 1 is what? 3. 2 plus 1 is 3. Then I will move again and say this value 3 modulus of 2 equals to 3 divided by 2 is 1, remainder 1. So I have 3 plus 1 is what? 4. 1 modulo 2 is 0.5. No, I mean 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. And it does not have any remainder. Its remainder is 0. So modulus talks about remainder, not division. So 3 modulus 2 is that is 1.5, abi? Yes, 1.5. So you say that it is 1, remainder 1, right? So it is remainder 1 here that you put here. Now you increment it by saying plus 1, you have 4. Then when you get here, you say 4. You say 4 modulus 2 equals to 0. Why? 4 divided by 2 is 2, remainder 0. Then that will be now 4 plus 1. Okay, so I'm trying to round up. This is the last example. Plus 1. Okay, so I have 5. So this will continue until you get onto these numbers here, get to, I mean these last numbers here, get to 10. All right, so it will continue to check for these conditions here. 0, 0, 1, 0. You have to check for those conditions. That is, if by the time you divide that number by 2, if the remainder is 0, it will return even. But if it is, so we are saying that number 1 here is even. Number 2 here is even. Here is odd. Is odd because it has 1. I mean, it is it's not equal to 0, it is equal to 1. It's equal to 1, so it is odd. If it is equal to 0, then it is even. If it is equal to 0, it is even. If it is equal to 1, then it is odd. So let me just finish this. This will be 5 modulus 2, and then if you say 5 modulus 2, it should remain 1. That will be 2, remainder 1, and then this is going to be 5 plus 1, which is 6. So it is not this 6 that you are calling even, mind you. This is what you are calling. This is the condition you are checking. So the condition is saying that I modulus 2 equals to 0. So if it is 0, then it is even. If it is 1, then it is odd. So this is odd. And so on. This is how you do it. Until you get to an output number. Of course, don't forget that it started all with 1. Okay, it started with 1. And then, so we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, 5, 6, up to 10. Let's execute this and see what we'll have. So what would we have here? 1 is odd. Of course it is odd. 1 is odd. 2 is even. 3 is even. 4 is even. Okay, there must be something there. 5, 6 is even. Okay, so there is a mistake. Let's check again. So we are saying that okay, of course 1 is odd. Now Second one is saying that if it is only even when it is equal to 0, right? When our remainder is equal to 0, which is even. Now when our remainder is equal to it is odd when the remainder is equal to 1, abi? That is, if it is not within the condition, right? So 2 modulus 2 is what? 2 modulus 2 is still 0, right? I mean, is 1 remainder 0? Yes, is 1 remainder 0. Is not division. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what you are saying is that this line, no, of course 1 is odd for the first line because it is just I. Oh, I get your point. I get your point now. He started executing it from here, from our. I get your point now. So because you cannot even divide this, your remainder is 1. So at the end of the day, this is odd. Okay, I get your point now. So because this line, you have not applied the conditions to it, so you can't actually say it's part of it. It's not part of it. So this is it starts from here. 1 modulus 2, all right, is 1, okay, which is odd. Then by the time you come here, you have 2, or you carry this 2 modulus 2 is 1 remainder 0, which is what? Even. Okay, because why? This condition is saying if it is equal to 0, then it is even. Then we come here and we say 3 modulus 2 remains 1, all right, which makes it what? Odd. But wait though. So we have our first condition saying it is odd, the second condition is even, the third saying it is odd, and then even, and then odd. Okay, I think we are correct. So what you are having here, starting from 2 is odd. 3, what you're having here are just what? Are just the output. But what it is reading here is the one that is showing here. Because this is your I. The value here is your I. This is your I. This is your I. This is your I, and this is your I. So when you ask it to display here, which is your I, it reads this one. So this values here is what it reads and calls it even or odd. Can you see? All right. So we are saying that 1 is odd, 2 is even, 3 is odd, 4 is even, 5 is odd. Because it is I plus 1, you increment it because we have increment. Okay, so I think that is that for that. So we'll call it a week from here. All right, so next week, that if condition we could not combine, I might have to give another example on it, maybe on the WhatsApp group. I created a WhatsApp group, and see if you can also review it from your end. You can also give a discussion on it maybe during the week. All right, so that we will close out on it. I won't have to carry it over to next week. That is what I'm talking about, is this do while with if conditions that we were not able to finish. All right, so we'll call it a day from here. Thank you so much for joining today's class. All right,